What's going on, everyone? Matthew Osborn here. Thank you, everyone that's already on. I think there's about 5 of you here. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes for people to jump on. This is the webinar for trial users specifically. So if you got this email, hopefully if everything worked right, you're a current trial user of ScoutIQ. Let me know in the chat box what your name is, how long you've been selling on Amazon, if you've started already, and also if you can hear me. I want to make sure you guys can hear me and see me okay before we get things going. The main reason for this webinar really is to answer your guys' questions. I want to see what questions you have. I want to see where you're getting held up using ScoutIQ and help you maybe overcome some of those roadblocks. I've got a few tips and tricks of common questions that were asked by people that are just starting to use ScoutIQ. So if you are watching this, please, like I said, put your name in there, put where you're from, how long you've been selling on Amazon, and if you guys can hear me, and we'll get started in just a moment. It's a beautiful day right now in Denver, blue skies, it's warm. So it's a good day. Right after this, I'm gonna try and list some books and film a few videos on the listing process. And so those will be coming out soon. There's a few people that wanted to know how to set up Accelerlist, the new version of Accelerlist. If any of you guys used that a couple months back, it's actually a while now, 6 months back or so, they did version 2.0 of Accelerlist. And so even though a lot of things function the same way, everything looks entirely different. So the old training videos we had on Accelerlist still work, but it's a new interface. So we're gonna try and film some new stuff with the new interface and see how that goes. So again, if you guys are on here and you're watching, please don't be shy. Please leave your name in there and let me know how long you guys have been on Amazon. I'll be on here as long as you guys need me to answer questions, normally about 30 minutes. And then this will be available for replay. If you guys click on the link in the email, after this is done, you'll be able to see the replay of this instead of watching it live. But of course, you can't ask questions if you're not watching it live. So watch it live and leave those questions in there for me. I'll dive in, since a couple minutes after now, of the few tips and tricks I have for you guys for just starting out with ScoutIQ. Let me share my screen here, and hopefully you guys will be able to see it a little bit better than last time. Let me see. All right, let me double check on my other screen over here that I've got up of this video to make sure it's coming up all right. Give it one. There we go. All right, it's a little bit small, but we can see that. I'll try and figure out a better way to display this next time. But welcome guys for being here. Right here, I've got a couple screens of ScoutIQ. You've got this, if you open ScoutIQ, hopefully you already have for your trial user. You've seen these screens. I want to go over a couple different things that you'll see here. In the very far left-hand side right there, this is the main screen. Of course, the top left-hand button is where you can download your database. Downloading the database takes up about 1.4 gigabytes of space in your phone. So if it's the first time you're downloading it, you want to make sure you have at least that much space available. If you have a good internet connection, it shouldn't actually take that long to download. After it finishes downloading, you can hit the test button and make sure it did it successfully. Over on the top right of that first screen, you can see the triggers button. If you click that triggers button, it'll open up the screen you see on the far right, and we'll go over triggers in just a second. Then, of course, the Scout button brings you to the main Scout screens, and then settings brings you to the setting page. A few things on the setting page I want to point out to you guys. The first one's always awake. That one's checked on. That means it'll keep the phone on. So if you have your phone in your pocket, it'll keep it on and it won't make it fall asleep. Audio, of course, vibration, ISBN search only. So ISBN search only is really a feature we're probably going to take away soon, because we had it on there initially because if you scan something that wasn't an ISBN, like another product, it would bring up a search results page and you have to select which product you wanted before continuing on. Now you're able to scan through that. So you don't really have to worry about ISBN search only. And then lock screen is a really cool feature. If you guys haven't played with that yet, click on that lock feature. And what it's going to do is it's going to lock the screen on. So you can put your phone in your pocket, you can hold it in your hand and not worry about it. And no matter what you touch on the screen, it's not going to take you out of ScoutIQ. So you can have your phone in your pocket, be scanning, take it out, see the results on the screen and stick it back in and not worrying about accidentally touching something and messing it up. And then if you want to take it out of lock mode, there's a little lock in the bottom of your screen. You just drag it, pull it out of the circle, and then you're out of lock mode. So that's a great way to scan. If those of you like scanning with maybe headphones in, you like your phone in your pocket, be able to hear the audio signals, to not accidentally hit something while it's in your pocket. And now we've got the scanning modes below that. That's one thing I want to touch on. So there's three of them. We have database only, database plus live, and live only. So database only is exactly what it seems. It's going to be going just off the database. If it's not in the database, you're not going to see any results. We do have a pretty comprehensive database, so that shouldn't happen very often. But if you have database only, it's only going to use database, not internet at all. Database plus live is what I recommend you guys scan in. That's what I scan in. What database plus live is, at first it looks in the database. If it finds it, it pulls it up in database mode. If it can't find it in our database, it pulls it up live on Amazon. Of course, you guys will need the database plus live ScoutIQ plan to make this work. But if you do have database plus live, that's a great thing to set it on. And then we have live only, where it's going to avoid the database entirely and just use your data or internet connection to pull live results from Amazon. Those will be the most up-to-date data points, but it's going to take longer every single time because it has to have good cell reception, and it's going to take a few seconds for each scan, where in database mode, it's going to be able to scan as quickly as your phone's processor can handle. Again, if you guys are on here, please leave your name in there. Let me know what questions you have, and also double check that you guys can hear me okay. Now let's talk about triggers real quickly, because that's a question we get a lot. If maybe you guys are coming back to ScoutIQ, you used it a long time ago. It's changed. Before, you used to be able to edit the triggers on your phone. Now we've moved all of that to our web portal. So on the web portal, it's where you're going to be able to edit your triggers now. In the phone, you'll be able to switch between the different trigger sets you've created. If you haven't made any triggers yet, all you'll see on this page is ScoutIQ default triggers, and that's the only thing you'll be able to do. If you click on that, nothing's going to happen because you can't select different trigger sets. So if we go and look at the online, let me go online real fast and show you what triggers look like. Scroll through here. Triggers, if you go to the online portal, app.scoutiq.co, you'll see the online trigger section. If you click triggers in the top tab, you're going to see this screen pull up right here. And again, it'll probably only have ScoutIQ default triggers in there. If you want to see what those are, you can click that box and see what those triggers are. Or if you want to change them and do your own thing, you can click new trigger set right there at the top right, and you'll be able to make a new trigger set. Let's say you like the default triggers, but you want to change a few things on them. What you can do is create a new trigger set, scroll to the bottom of the page, then click restore to default, and it will populate that new page with all the default triggers, and you can change them as you'd like. We have it set up right now where you can't edit the actual default triggers. That way you always have those to fall back on in case something gets messed up. Yeah, so you always have those to fall back on. We'll talk more about triggers in just a second. Let me go over a few more things. So these are the main Scout screens. The very first screen you see on the left will be what pulls up when you hit the Scout button. If you swipe left on the screen, you'll be able to see the middle one right there, which is just a simpler view. It doesn't show quite as many data points. It's easier to read. Then if you swipe one more time, it's not shown here, but it will be the scan tracker page where you can see how many accepts you've gotten, how many scans you've done. And it's a nice little way to reset after you go out each time and scan to see how many scans you've done, what your accept rate is, stuff like that. So in this first page, you're going to have all the data points, like I said. In the second page, you're going to have a simplified view and just the bars where you can see green, red, or orange if it's going to be an in-between value. One thing you guys can use to your advantage, in the bottom left-hand side of any ScoutIQ screen except the scan tracker, you're going to see a cover of whatever product you're scanning. Whatever product you're scanning is going to pop up right there. And if you see the actual book cover, if you see an image there for the book cover, that means that's a live result taken from Amazon. If it looks like it does on the far right, where it's just a little circle and there's no cover, that means it got that result from the database. We don't have the images in our database because it takes up way too much space to have an image for every single book. But if you see the image, you know that's a live result. If you don't see the image in the bottom left-hand corner, you know that's from the database. And so you can use that while you're scanning to see if it's live result or database results. If you do get a database result and you want to double check what it's currently selling for on Amazon, you can tap that live button in the middle right there, and it'll bring up the live results for that specific book. One more quick thing before I can jump in and answer some of your questions if you have them. If you're scanning and you see a red R in the bottom left-hand corner, which you see right here, that means this book is commonly restricted. It doesn't necessarily mean it's restricted for your account. It's restricted in general for a lot of people's accounts. That's why we put it on there, just as a reference point. So if you see that, you can click that and it'll open up your account in Amazon, and you can see if your account specifically is restricted in that book. But it's a good idea if you're ever scanning and you see a red R in the bottom left-hand corner, click it and double check you're able to sell that book before you purchase it. And then I will get into a few of these other things in a moment. Let me stop sharing the screen real fast. Let me pull back up my, I'll get into, mute that audio. All right, so we got a couple of you guys on here right now. I've been on Amazon a few months. I'm excited to take my ScoutIQ to the thrift store this afternoon. That's awesome, Ellen. It's funny, it's kind of nerve-wracking almost when you first go out and start scanning. I don't know why, just a new experience. But after you do it once or twice, you're going to be hooked on it. Like I said, when you guys go out, make sure you download the database if you have Database Plus Live plan before you go out. You don't want to be downloading that really large file on your data plan. It'll probably be slower, and unless you have unlimited data, it'll take up a lot of data. So make sure you download that in the morning before you go out sourcing. We update the database every single day. So no need to update multiple times a day, but each day you go out and scan, you can download that new database with fresh data right before you go out. So you're not using internet connection as much. You can scan a lot faster and have the most up-to-date information. Adrian's been on Amazon less than 1 month on FBA. That's awesome. So FBA, if you guys are brand new and you're not quite sure what the different terms are, FBA is fulfilled by Amazon. That's where you send all your products to one of Amazon's warehouses and they fulfill everything for you. There's some slightly higher fees with FBA, but it's a lot more hands-off from your side of things. You can send off a few boxes of 100 books and Amazon will sell those as they sell and you don't have to touch them. You don't have to worry about customer service, storing the books, shipping the books, anything like that. So you can be off on vacation and you can still be selling books while you're gone. MF, Merchant Fulfilled, on the other hand, is where you're fulfilling all the books yourself. It's going to be lower fees, but those books are not going to qualify for Prime 2-day shipping. So you don't have that incentive right there. And then you're going to have to fulfill every single book that comes through. So each day when a new order comes through, you'll have to package those orders and send them out yourself. So it's a trade-off there. If you want lower fees, you can do it all yourself, but you're going to have to store the books and ship everything out. We recommend people do FBA. That's what Caleb and myself do. It's a lot easier to send everything off than not worry about it. Let Amazon take care of it, and it's well worth the slightly larger fees there. Ellen says, the books are upstairs, and no one is usually around, so I can play with the app in peace. That's great. Yeah, it's nice when you have some privacy to be able to do that. Take your time. If this is your first time going out sourcing with ScoutIQ or sourcing in general, it's a good thing to start with a nonfiction book. That's normally where the profit is going to be. Fiction books can be profitable at times, but normally your best bet is to stick to nonfiction books. You can check out textbooks. Just make sure you're not restricted in those textbooks before you try and sell them. But nonfiction books, business books, religious type books are going to normally have the higher value. So those are a good place to stick to them. Another thing you guys can do if you want to really just jump in and go all at this, one of the best upgrades you guys can do is get a Bluetooth scanner. So with ScoutIQ, you can hit the scan button and just use your phone's camera. That's perfectly fine. You will get results. But it takes a lot longer to scan each individual book with your camera than it does to have a little Bluetooth scanner where you can connect through Bluetooth to ScoutIQ, and then you can scan books pretty much as fast as you can pull them out. You'll be able to get through a lot more books in a lot less time, and therefore you're going to be able to find more books when you guys do that. So if you're willing to jump all in, a Bluetooth scanner would be great. There's some cheaper options on Amazon. The Ioyo, EYOYO scanner is about $40-something. It's on the lower end, so it doesn't work sometimes quite as well as some of the more expensive scanners, but a lot of people use it. A lot of people love it. We have one here at the office. So that's on the cheaper end. If you want to spend a little bit more money, you can get something called the Opticon, OPN 2002. That's a smaller scanner. It's going to run you a little bit more. You can find them used on eBay from between like $80 and $120. And brand new on Amazon, they're going to be around $190 to $200. The great thing about those little scanners, though, is they actually maintain their resale value really, really well. So if you guys end up not pursuing Amazon down the road, you can pretty much almost guaranteed sell that scanner for what you purchased it for if you bought it used. So that's a good investment if you're wanting to dive all in. The thing about scanning books and scanning with ScoutIQ is that you want to get through the duds as fast as possible. A normal accept rate is going to be about 3 to 5% you can expect when you go out to a normal library or thrift store and scan through their books. So that means for every 100 books you scan, you're going to have 5 that you bring home with you. So the goal is to scan through all the duds as fast as possible to find those good books and bring them back home. If you're using your phone, you can still do it, but it might take you 30 minutes to scan through 100, where if you're using a Bluetooth scanner, you might be able to do that in 10 minutes or less. So you're going to be able to find more accepts. It'll be a little bit more fun, and you'll be able to sell more books. So please drop your questions in there. I'll hang around as long as you guys need me to answer those. Hopefully you guys, since you are putting comments there, you can hear me. There's 12 of you on right now. We thank you guys for checking out ScoutIQ. Let me show you a few resources you guys can use if you're just starting that might be helpful for you. Let me share my screen one more time. All right, hopefully you can see my screen again. So one quick thing to note, another question we get all the time from people brand new to selling on Amazon, specifically using ScoutIQ, is how do I connect my account to Amazon? If you're scanning through things on ScoutIQ and you keep getting no results found, that probably means your account is not connected. We need to have your account connected to ScoutIQ in order to connect to Amazon and show you results. So if you keep getting no results found, it's probably because you haven't connected your account. I'll show you how to do that right now. If you go to your online portal, again, that's app.scoutiq.co, you can click account, and then you can click account settings, and you're going to see this page right here. And you're going to need to input your seller, Amazon seller ID, and your auth token right in there. There's steps below that on how to do it. And once you save that information, it'll tell you if it's correct, or if it's incorrect, you need to double check it. So it's fairly simple to set up, actually. In step one, you're going to click the link. When you click that link, it's going to autofill these two spots and open it up in a new tab. So developer's name is going to be ScoutIQ, and then our developer account number will be right there. It'll autofill that for you. So all you need to do is click next. Check the box saying you understand the terms and conditions. Click next again, and then it's going to open up this final page. And the first part will be your seller ID. You're going to want to copy that and paste it in the box on ScoutIQ, at the web portal, that is. And then your MWS auth token is going to be the longer one. It's going to start with AMZN, and it'll be a long number after that. Copy that one in there into those boxes you see on this page. Hit save information. Make sure it says it's usable, it's good, it's green. And if that's the case, then you'll be able to scan on ScoutIQ and actually get results there. Let me pull back up the chat right here so I can see live chat. There we go. All right, so that's one thing you guys can do if you're getting no results found, is to double check your account is connected. Then those resources I was telling you about real fast. Here's some scanners for you, actually. That's the OPM 2002. That's what I use. It's what Caleb uses. That's what I said the slightly more expensive one is. The KDC is another very popular one. It's a similar price point. You can pick them up used for around $100. Then the iYoYo is going to be the cheaper option on Amazon. Like I said, it's cheaper, but a lot of people love that one. It's going to be $44, something like that, Prime. So you can pick one of those up pretty cheap, and it'll help you significantly when you're starting out to be able to go through those books a lot faster. Like I said, get through those duds and find more books to take home. If you guys are not already a part of the Facebook group, you'll want to do that. We have almost 10,000 members in this group. It's completely free for you to join. And if you have questions, which if you're just starting out, I guarantee you're going to have questions pop up. You can throw them in this group, and it's crazy. Within 5 or 10 minutes, normally, you'll have a couple responses of people trying to help you out. So it's a very helpful group. You can search past content in that group, and I can almost guarantee you someone's asked that question before. So it's a great, valuable resource. You can go to bit.ly/BF group, all lowercase. It'll take you there. Or just search for Book Flipper Community on Facebook, and you can find that group right there. Also, the 100 Book Challenge. The 100 Book Challenge is something that I did last year, where for 12 weeks, I listed 100 books every single week onto Amazon and documented my process throughout the whole thing. So if you guys want to set a goal, if you want to set a goal of 25 books a week or 50 books a week, go to the 100bookchallenge.com. You can get a little free tracker spreadsheet. It'll project to you, if you buy 25 books a week, what profit will be 6 months from now, how long you'll have to do it to be able to see profit, etc. So it's a great way to start setting a goal. Even if it's a goal of 10 books a week, set a goal and try and keep that goal. Go to the 100bookchallenge.com to follow along with that free challenge. And also, as a side note, we are doing something currently called the eFlip Challenge. eFlip Challenge is online arbitrage. That's buying from Amazon and selling back to Amazon. It's different than ScoutIQ, but if it sounds interesting to you, you can check that out at bit.ly/eFlip Challenge, all one word, all lowercase. But I'll stop rambling on there, and I'll get back to answering some of your questions. Let's see what's coming up here. So can you walk through a quick scan of ScoutIQ? I'm still learning how to recognize books with a combo of ScoutIQ, Camel, and Keepa. For example, ISBN 978-12500. All right. Let me pull back up that screen I actually just had, and I'll show you kind of what the results look like on Amazon. That's a great, or on ScoutIQ. That is a great question. Pull it back up here. So I've got a screenshot I'll share. It's not that exact book. I don't have the ability to share my phone at the second to show you that exact book. But let's take a look. Even though this one says restricted, let's take a look at some of the information displayed on this page. And I'll show you what the different things mean. So eScore, if you're brand new to ScoutIQ, you probably don't know what that is. eScore is a rating we developed to be able to tell you how often a book is selling. So Amazon doesn't ever tell us how many copies of a book sell, but we can see if a book has sold at least one copy in a day. So an eScore of 151 plus means in the past 6 months, it's basically sold every single day. It's sold over 151 days in the past 180 days. It's based off 180 days the past 6 months. So an eScore of 6 means it's probably sold one copy each month for the past 6 months. eScore of 12 means roughly 2 copies a month for the past 6 months, etc. So the lower the eScore, the less frequently the book is selling. The higher the eScore, the more frequently the book is selling. Again, it's number of days with sales, not how many copies the books have sold. So in this particular example right here, an eScore of 151 plus means this book is selling all the time. It's selling almost every single day. And then you can see rank right there is 107,000. Here's why eScore is a better thing to look at than rank. Rank can be a little bit deceiving. So rank is a sliding scale. When a book sells, almost always it'll drop to about 100,000 in rank. The longer it takes to sell, it'll keep climbing back up and climbing back up. And when it sells again, it'll drop back down to 100,000. So a book that's at 100,000, you know it's sold probably that day or the day before. 5 days out, the rank could climb up to 1 million. And then 3 months out, the rank could be 2 million, 3 million, and keep going up from there. The reason rank isn't very reliable and why you should focus on eScore is because, like I said, it drops to 100,000. Then as that book doesn't sell, the rank continues to climb. I wish I could have both screens up. I'll figure out how to do that next time for you guys. But rank continues to climb, and then it sells, and it drops back down to 100,000. So you might have had a book that hasn't sold for 2 years. Maybe the rank was 6 million. If you looked at rank alone, you'd say 6 million, I'm never going to buy that book. If you happen to scan that book the day it sells, the rank's going to be 100,000. So you might look at that book and say, hey, it's 100,000. It just sold. This is a great find. Where if you had eScore, the eScore being eScore of 1, telling you that book has only sold once in the past 6 months, and you say, hey, I happened to find it on the day it sold, this book probably isn't going to be a good buy. It hasn't sold in a really long time, or it's only sold one copy. So that's why eScore is a better thing to focus on than rank. If we look through here, we can see there's going to be a price highlighted in orange. You can see on this particular book, if you can make your screen bigger and read that, it's $79.95. What this is saying is that's the price we're basing this profit off of. So when you set up triggers, the triggers are going to be triggered based on the information it's reading on the screen. So since this book is selling all the time, it's going to be looking at the 4th FBA offer. That's the FBA column right there. You can see it's looking at the 4th FBA offer. Since it's selling all the time, you don't need to be the #1 offer. You can wait for a few sales and price about 4 in. And get more money. If this book wasn't selling at all, let's say this book was selling eScore of 6 or eScore of 1, it wasn't selling very often at all, you'd want to be pricing closer to those lower merchant fulfilled offers. The triggers would automatically show you which price point it's recommending you price the book at. So you can better get a return on your investment for that book. So basically, when an eScore is lower and it's not selling as frequently, you're going to want to match the lower prices more so than if it's selling all the time. You can get a little bit more of a premium, especially if you're selling FBA and can sell Prime. And so triggers help you do that. Triggers do that automatically. That's why this one it says accept. It's selling all the time. It's a great book. It's $6 profit. The only problem is this one's probably restricted for those people. That's why I have this screenshot right here. Let me pull this screen down for a second so I can see your guys' comments again. So you don't need to, you mentioned ScoutIQ, Camel, and Keepa. Keepa can be a great thing to pull up, same with Camel to see the history of a book. But if you're pulling it up for every single book, it's going to take way too much time for you. So one thing you can do is normally, if you look at the triggers and you like the trigger set up on ScoutIQ, you can scan through books. And once you find a book that says accept, you can maybe dive in a little deeper, especially at the beginning, get to know what the Keepa chart is showing you, the sales history. But by looking at the information on ScoutIQ, you can almost always make an informed decision whether you should or shouldn't purchase that based on the triggers and based on the actual data you're looking at on the screen. So I would recommend you don't look at Camel, Camel, and Keep Up for every single book. It's going to take you way too long. And if you only get through 50 books in an hour with a 5% accept rate, you're going to find 2.5 books. And so it's probably not going to be worth your time looking at that every single scam. But like I said, once you have an accept, it can be a good thing, especially at the beginning, to go through those charts and kind of see the history of a book and try and figure out what you're looking at to see if it would be a good buy. We set up the ScoutIQ triggers with a lot of science behind them and thought behind them. So we do recommend, if you're brand new and you're not quite sure what you're doing, to focus on the triggers and use the default ones. Once you get a little more experience and know what you're wanting, you can change those triggers around and kind of customize them to suit your needs. It says, also, using the same ISBN, would you price this book at $12.99 if it's new? Let me pull this. I won't be able to share this on the screen, but let me pull this up on my phone so I can check this exact book for you. One moment. If you guys have ScoutIQ on your phones near you, you guys can also pull up this ISBN so you can see what I'm looking at. So let me type this ISBN in here real fast for you. Alrighty, so if I did the right one, it should be the Origami Garden. So this one says, except this book has an E-score of 60, a rank of 151. It says estimated profit is $3.17. So if you look at the second from the far left column, it's going to say FBA. Those are going to be the FBA offers. If you look at this one, those are blank. That does not mean there aren't any FBA offers for this book. When we query Amazon using the API, basically when we request information on a book from Amazon, they're going to give us the lowest 15 to 20 offers. So if there's no FBA offers in the lowest 15 to 20, we're not going to be able to show any FBA offers in that column. But we can find out almost always what the lowest FBA offer is by looking at the buy box. Almost always the used buy box is going to go to the lowest FBA offer as long as it's a seller with good ratings. So in this case, you can see the lowest FBA offer most likely is going to be $11.88 because that's the used buy box on this book. I can verify that. I can click the Amazon button to open up Amazon on this page and see that there's actually a lower prime offer. There's a prime offer at $9.56, but the seller doesn't have great feedback. And so Amazon probably selected the next seller up, which was the $11 offer, to be the lowest prime price. So even though we don't have any FBA offers to look at in the lowest 15 to 20, we can almost always guarantee the lowest used buy box is going to be that lowest prime price. That would be $11.88. Now, something interesting happened with this book. If you guys typed in the ISBN and you're looking at this with me, you'll see the highlighted color, highlighted number on the screen is the Amazon price. So the reason why it's basing off Amazon's price is because if Amazon's price minus 10% is lower than the used buy box, it's going to go off that. So if Amazon's on a listing for $12.99, they're probably selling this book brand new for $12.99. So you do not want to list above that. You don't normally want to list above Amazon. If someone can buy this book new from Amazon for $12.99, you don't want to price it at $14. It's normally not a smart decision. So what we do in this case is we're going to take that $12.99 from Amazon, take 10% off of it, and then say this is what you should list that book off of. So given the $12.99 Amazon's price minus 10%, it says the list price for this book, the target price, should be $11.69. If you do that, the estimated profit will be $3.17. So to answer your question on this book, it depends on what you're able to buy this book for, whether you should buy it or not. So your profit's only $3.17 if I did pull up the correct book. So if you're able to get this book for free, it can be a good thing to sell. It's an E-score of 60, so it's still selling very frequently. So you could price this book at what ScoutIQ is showing the price at, $11.69. And you can expect to sell it fairly quickly and get that $3.17 profit back in your pocket. If you had to spend $2 for this book, that means your profit would be $1.17. It probably wouldn't be worth it, even if the E-score is higher. Normally, my rule of thumb is you're going to try and get 100% return on your investment. So if the book costs $2 and it's selling all the time, you want to make at least $2 from that one. So again, if you paid money for this book, base it off of how much you paid. If you didn't, I think this can be a good thing to list, and I'd recommend listing it at what ScoutIQ suggested, $11.69. And I came up with that price by taking 10% off of Amazon's. hopefully that makes sense. If you want me to clarify that a little more, please let me know further with the questions in there. Would you price this book at $12.99 if it's new? So I missed that part if it's new. So probably not, because like I said, Amazon's going to be $12.99 and you don't want to price where Amazon's at. You can list books as new on Amazon, but it is a little bit iffy. I'd recommend, especially if you bought this book from a library or thrift store or something like that, you list it as very good. Even if it looks like it's brand new, list it as very good, because you run into the risk of listing a book as new. Amazon might come to you and say, hey, we need receipt verifying you purchased this from the publisher or from the distributor in order to sell that book. So even if it looks great, even if it's maybe even shrink wrapped, we normally recommend you list that as very good instead of new. Because someone will probably still buy it from you. You'll be lower than Amazon's price, and you won't run into the risk of Amazon coming to you and saying, hey, you tried to list this as new. Please verify with proof that you purchased this from the publisher or you purchased this from a distributor, which most of the case, you probably haven't done that. So yeah, that's just a rule of thumb. Normally list is very good, even if it looks brand new. And then don't price at Amazon's price right below them. So let me know if you guys have any other questions. Like I said, I'm happy to stay on as long as you'd like me to. I can answer any questions you have here. Let me double check and see if I've missed anything. No. Yeah. So again, like I said, you guys have 14 days for ScoutIQ. So hopefully you get the chance to come to 2 of these. So if the questions you have aren't answered in this, or if you come up with questions in the next week, you should be getting another email for next Thursday's webinar where you guys can come in here and ask more questions if you had them in the meantime. Or as always, go to the Facebook group. The Facebook group is tons of knowledge in there, tons of sellers willing to help you out. Like I said, almost 10,000 people in that group. So use that resource all the time. It'll very much help you out if you're just starting out selling on Amazon. Again, I recommend setting a goal when you first start out of how many books you want to list on Amazon a week. It doesn't have to be 100 books a week. When I did 100 books a week, it was averaging me about 11 hours a week total to be able to find those books and list them onto Amazon. That's going to be a little different for different people based on your experience level, where you live, how many stores you have near you. So that can be a variable goal to hit. But for me, it was about 11 hours a week to find 100 books a week. So if you're short on time, maybe set your goal at 25 books a week to start out. Start listing from there. One thing I really want to encourage you for, especially if you're brand new, is to try this out for about 3 months. The reason I did 12 weeks for that challenge is because listing 100 books a week, every single week, the first month I did that, my total revenue on Amazon was around $850 or $900, and I still wasn't cash flow positive, meaning I'd still spent more on buying new books than I had made back in profit from Amazon. Second month, my revenues were around $2,500, and the third month, my revenue is over $4,500. I was still listing 100 books every single week for all 3 months, but since I did it for a long period of time, those books started stacking up in Amazon. More of them started selling, and then around 6 weeks, I became cash flow positive, and then I ended the challenge at 12 weeks, profitable, making money back from it, and then those books continue to sell. I sold one of them yesterday, a year later. That was a long tail book. It just took a little bit longer to sell. So don't try this for 2 or 3 weeks. You don't make a ton of money on Amazon, say I'm quitting, I'm throwing in the towel. You need to stick with it and be consistent. Even if it's 25 books a week, try and be consistent with that for about 3 months, and you'll start seeing that come back through to you on Amazon. So quitting way too early is what I see too often. People get excited, they list a ton of books, and their revenue numbers are not what they were hoping they'd be in the first month. So they quit and they lose that momentum they had. So really, I encourage you to stick with it for about 3 months and give it a good try before you decide whether it's for you or whether it's not. So if there's no more questions, I guess we can wrap it up for today. Thank you guys for those of you that are here that joined in. I'll be here again next Thursday at 11 a.m. depending on if Caleb's here in town or not. He might be joining me on this, or actually more than likely what I just thought of is I'm have a baby due next week. So there's probably a good chance I won't actually be able to be on this live webinar next week. So Caleb might be the one hosting this next week because I'll probably be with the new little one. So have a good day, guys. Again, this is going to be a replay. If you want to click the link later, you can go back and watch this over again. Always email support if you have questions that can't be answered in the group or that you don't know for ScoutIQ. We'd be happy to help you guys out. It's support@scoutiq.co. So send an email there and we'll get back to you real quickly. Again, have a great day, guys, and I will talk to you later.